everybody, it's Vanessa. I'm back with another video, but first I wanted to thank you for those of you that took the time out to read the email, watch the video, and even leave me your comments. The first thing I noticed is there are a lot of wants out there for different types of wallets that fit all of our specific needs. And second, I think I received so many different suggestions that I have plenty to carry me over into another Wallet of the Month club. So for this first one and the 7 projects I mentioned in yesterday's video, I'm narrowing them down, and it's something special. We're changing things up a little bit. If you're a part of the Bag of the Month club, you may find that we have switched a few things up for this new club. We wanted to kind of step it up a little bit and bring you more added value. So the first thing that you'll notice that is different is that I've actually teamed up with a few other bag and wallet designers. Basically, I was looking for the different types of wallets that I wanted to design and make, and I figured, why reinvent the wheel, right? I found some great patterns from some of my friend designers, and I figured, hey, maybe they'd like to collaborate with me on this new Wallet of the Month club. So you'll be happy to know that the patterns that are not going to be mine, there's some that are, but the ones that are not designed by me, I still am going to be the one teaching you step by step how to make it. So I find that I get this a lot from people who watch my video tutorials or video courses, and that is that they'll find a project or a pattern that they love and they really want to make, but because everybody has different teaching styles, writing styles, especially in long pages of written instructions, it can oftentimes be hard, especially for visual learners, to follow all those instructions and figure out what exactly they need to do. So you're basically going to be getting the best of both worlds here. Some patterns are exclusive and designed by me, and others are by professional designers. The patterns have already been tested. They've been made time and time again by other customers of that designer that have already made it in the past. And then I get to make it on camera, step by step, so that I can bring you both the PDF pattern, that specific design of wallet, and, of course, my unique teaching style with those step-by-step video instructions. Now, I figured it was about time that I did something like this because over the years, I've received hundreds, I would have to say for sure, at least several hundred emails from viewers who really enjoy my teaching style, but maybe they purchased a pattern or have downloaded some type of PDF pattern off the internet, and they just can't seem to figure out that specific designer's instructions. We all know that if you're a visual learner, video or in-person hands-on classes is really probably the best way for you to learn to then have some successful results in that specific project. Well, if you're reading 10, 15 pages of written text instructions and you're a visual learner, the pattern might be very well written, but it's still a little bit more difficult than if you just had the step-by-step video lessons for you to watch and make right alongside, which is what I love to bring you all, both with my free video tutorials and with any of my paid online courses. Now let's talk a little bit about the things that are remaining the same if you have been a part of any of my previous Bag of the Month clubs. You will still have indefinite access to the content, you will have the PDF pattern, and in this case, if we're using a designer's pattern, it's not just going to be supplemental instructions like I do, because I teach most of the instruction for the projects in video. These designers have designed their projects and their wallets to be just text instructions, so you're really getting the best written instructions with the best video lessons. And as usual, when you join my Bag of the Month clubs, or in this case, the Wallet of the Month club, there's only a one-time membership fee. After that, there's no recurring cost. You don't have to pay anything again, but you still get indefinite and unlimited access to all the course content and patterns so that you can always log on to the website, access your account, and be able to, whenever you want to, download the PDF patterns or watch the video lessons. Now, if you're thinking in the back of your mind, this sounds a little bit interesting, I'm intrigued, but I don't have all the supplies that you would probably need to make wallets. No worries. What we've done in the past with all our bag clubs is that we also sell optional kits that you can purchase. They're not included in the membership fee for the club because a lot of us already have the supplies at home, but for those of you that want to purchase a kit already put together with the stabilizers, some hardware, maybe zippers, magnetic snaps, and things like that, that you'll need for each individual project, we will have that as an add-on and optional purchase that you can make every time we release a new wallet. Our bag kits have been really successful in the past, and the feedback we've received from you all is that you love being able to just rip open a package, pick out some pretty fabrics from your stash, and right there when you have the time and you're feeling inspired, you want to go ahead and watch my video lessons and tackle that specific project. Now, hardware is one of those things that I find that unless you're using it on a daily basis, it can be tricky, both to figure out how to measure and line up for placement, or how to just even install them or use them in a specific project. So of course, in every project, I will be walking you through step by step, but I wanted to give you a little taste in this video and turn it into a tutorial where I'm gonna share with you my tips and tricks on how to properly and successfully install a magnetic snap closure in a specific application. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to install a magnetic snap. Now, the first thing to note is that there are several different styles, sizes, and types of magnetic snaps. Some are invisible. This just happens to be one that is exposed and you can see, kind of like this little one installed here. Now, a few different things to note. I'm going to show you how it works here because the idea is I'm going to show you a few different hacks and ways that you can install a magnetic snap that is exposed like this, but without having the metal scratch your card. Do you see that there, how it's covered up and I don't see the back prongs? You still flatten them out after it's installed, but they're not scratching up my card on the back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do that. And so for a project like this is my flip top card wallet. It's a great and simple way to finish it off so that this pocket down here is still usable. Okay, we don't want it to go all the way through because then this is a waste. If I wasn't able to kind of slip in my card there, we still want to make it a full pocket. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So recalling from the last video I shared with you all, we made some little credit card slots. So this one was done using the serger method that I showed you in the previous video. And pretend that this is that little card slot that goes down here. So the first thing we're going to do, and oftentimes patterns and designs will have you measure, but I prefer to have you measure using the actual thing, the fabric itself, because everybody cuts a little bit differently or measures a little bit differently. And I rather your magnetic snap be installed perfectly centered on your specific credit card slot here than basing it off a measurement that I'm going to give you that might then make the installation be a little bit off of the center. Does that make sense? Like if you just measured and your strip was longer, then it's going to look like if it's off centered. But instead, use your slot here so that you can fold it in half and find the exact center. And now that we've found the center mark there, let's have a look at the hardware pieces that come with a magnetic snap set. You'll have two of the metal pieces that go in, right? You'll have the female end and the male end of the magnetic snap. And then depending on where you buy it from, you may or may not have washers. It'll work either way. Say you buy a set and just comes with the male and female end, you'll still be able to install it. So I'll share with you a little bit more about that as we walk through the steps. But mine comes with a large washer. That's for the female end, and the smaller one matches up more closely in size to the male end, okay? Now, once we have this folded over, I'm gonna use a pen just so you can see it better on camera, but I would definitely recommend you use either a pencil or some fine tip marking tool that you may have for fabric, okay? So we are going to install, like this one, the female end on the bottom. So let's pretend this is for this. I take the washer, and you can see the two slits that are in the metal. The center here is the center point. So I need to find myself a center point right here. I have the center going vertically, but now I need to figure out where I want the magnetic snap installed, higher up or lower down, okay? And for me, it's gonna be 1 inch up from the bottom edge. So I will turn this, and for this, I can definitely use the 1 inch markings on my mat here, my cutting mat. So now I'm looking for where my center line here meets up with this center line that I just created. Of course, for precision, you always want to use some type of measuring tool that's to scale, like rulers. And then I like to do a little crosshair right where the two lines intersect. So the halfway going this way and the 1 inch up is going to be here. And I'm just going to do a teensy little mark with the pen. And then so this is where these two lines intersect. Boom, boom. Now we line up the circle in the washer with that little center of the crosshair there because that is the exact center point. And so then the slits on either side are for the prongs, and those don't go in the center. Instead, they straddle the center point, which is that circle there. So I center the crosshair right in the center circle, like that, and then I will make little lines in the slits. Easy enough. So this is where the prongs are going to go through. Now, on the back side, before we start cutting anything, I like to back it with a little chunk, and this is about a 1 inch by 1 inch square piece of fusible fleece. Now, again, remember, there's a lot of different ways to get the same result. So if you don't have fusible fleece that already has the built-in fusible on one side, you can use batting with a little bit of glue on the back to hold it in place. If you have a little piece of fleece or felt, you can kind of temporarily glue that there. Even give it a little spritz of temporary spray adhesive just to hold it down. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be stitched down or anything, because once we install the hardware, the prongs will be pressed open or to the center, depending on what you prefer, and it will hold it in place. So think about using something that's either permanent or temporarily going to hold this little square in place. This, because it's a little bit fluffy, it's just going to add a little bit more of a buffer so that the hardware here, okay, I won't say it won't cut through your fabric, but it'll take longer. I have a wallet that I made and I used for 3 years before it started wearing out between, you know, the fusible fleece down through the fabric and everything. So 3 years of really, really treating it not very kindly and stuffing it packed. So that goes to show you kind of how long you can use these for, depending on the prep work that you take at the moment that you're making them like this. So I'm going to get my iron and fuse this. Now, if you're using a polyester-based fusible fleece like I am, you definitely do not want to hit the iron from the side of the fleece, because I'm going to scorch this, melt it, and it's really going to get just melted and super thinned out, so it won't stay as fluffy as it is now to protect the back of this credit card slot. So instead, we'll flip it like this on the ironing surface and press it from the fabric side. All right. Now, when you go to press it from the fabric side, make sure that your little square fusible fleece didn't move on you. And of course, the adhesive side of the fusible fleece should be up against the back here. And let me center it nice. And then just give it a little press from this side to adhere it. Then, of course, let it cool a little bit before we start handling it. And then we're going to move on to installing the actual magnetic snap part. So here goes. After I have that done, here's what I do. I will fold it so that the little vertical slit there is kind of getting folded back against the center or the halfway mark here. So I'll show you. It's easier to show you than say it. But I'm basically folding the vertical strips in half like this. And I find that this is a quick and easy way to cut into it without cutting too far in, like some other techniques that you may find that use like a seam ripper. So notice I just snip into it, and I'm only using the first 1/16 of an inch of the scissors. Do you see how I do that? And because I'm grabbing it, the same distance on top is the same distance on the bottom. And that's the only snip you want to make. But you want to have some nice sharp pair of scissors, because you got to go through the fabric, the interfacing, and then also the fusible fleece. So see how easy that was? And I don't have to run the risk of trying to get in here and cutting too far up and slicing into it. Just fold it and make 2 quick snips. Okay? Simple. Then we'll install the hardware. So here goes the female end, and I'm going to insert the prongs. You can see how easily it goes through. I don't have to stretch anything out because they were measured exactly based on the washer, right? Here's the washer. So we slip in the female end first. You can see how nicely centered it is, the importance of measuring. Then we'll flip it over, then put the washer over the prongs, all right? And then I can do this with my hands, but oftentimes you'll need pliers or a sharp metal tool to squish this down. I prefer to push the prongs out versus in, because if you put them in, they're going to be one on top of the other, and it gets to be quite bulky. I rather even out the bulk, okay, over the distance of that washer. Nice and secured and perfectly centered. Now, if it's installed like that, for basic installation, you'll be done. But if you want to cover it, because look what happens, if I slip this card in here, it's going to be scraping my card. And depending on what you put there, it's going to damage it, okay? So here are a few different things that you can do. Again, several different ways to get the same results. You can take a little piece, a little scrap piece of your woven fusible interfacing that we use, that's already here, that we use to back the credit card slot, and you can cut it to size and slip it over. The key for this is going to be not cutting it too small. You want to cut it long and wide enough that it will cover onto the fabric piece. So if I cut a square, say that it was like that big, and I try to fuse that down, the fusible is not really going to stick to the metal. So the only way that you're going to get it down there is by having enough coverage on the fabric bits that when you do fuse it, it will cover. Does that make sense? So if I fused it down here, it would be fused enough along here, here, and here that it would then cover this part, but it won't stick right there. Now, if you're working on a project, this is the way that I did it here, okay? Because there's not that much bulk, and I didn't want to take away from the spacing here. If you're working on a project where you're not really too worried about the bulk, you can take it one step further and cover this completely. For that, just cut yourself a scrap piece, again, of the fusible fleece, and then you would put it fusible side down. If you're going to do this step, what I would do is this first scrap piece of fusible fleece that I attached, make it bigger. So you have more exposed fabric on it, so that when you go back to fuse this guy down, there's more of it being attached and fused together to cover that magnetic snap completely. If you wanted to go overboard, you could do this and then this, okay? Whatever it is that you want to put on there that's thin enough, but it's still going to help protect whatever card is going next to it, is going to work fine. So feel free to look through your scraps, and you can see that these little teensy bits of scraps are still very helpful for applications like this. So don't throw away your scraps from previous projects, and then feel free to use them like this. Now, if you're using the woven interfacing on top, you can fuse it from this side. I would fuse a little from here, fuse a little from here, or even consider putting a pressing cloth or another piece of cotton fabric on top before you go and press it with the iron to adhere it completely, okay? So those are several different tips and ways that you can do it, and on how to measure exactly for a perfectly centered and successfully installed magnetic snap. All right, so there you have it, my tips and tricks on how to install the female end of a magnetic snap closure. You would just repeat the steps to install the male end of it on the other side of whatever flap you're using for your closure. Now, I hope that you enjoyed those tips and tricks and that you'll give them a try the next time you're working on a little wallet or bag project that requires a magnetic snap. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit it with a thumbs up, and I also want you to go ahead and leave me a comment below. Let me know, now that you have more details on the new Wallet of the Month club that's coming, what part of the Wallet Club are you most looking forward to? Leave me that comment below, and be sure to check your email tomorrow when I'll be coming back to you with another video and a few more details on the club. Thanks again for watching this video, and I will see you then.